In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an AI avatar assistant that you can use for any sort of purpose, in my case, a hotel receptionist. I'm also going to show you how to connect it to your website so you can interact with your clients in real time, like answering questions, and even control and navigate the website for you. I would have some questions about your fitness equipment. What do you have?
We have a state-of-the-art fitness center. Would you like me to show you more details on our fitness center page?
Yes, please.
I've opened up the details of our fitness center for you. Let me know if you have any specific questions.
Hi, can I book a hotel room?
Of course. I'd be happy to assist you with that.
I would check in at the 23rd of July and I would check out at the 26th of July and I would like to have the executive suite.
Got it. Thank you. Let me book the room for you now. Your executive suite is booked from July 23rd to July 26th for 2 people. A confirmation email has been sent to you.
For this tutorial, I'm going to use a tool called LiveKit, which requires a little bit of Python knowledge, but don't worry, you don't have to be an expert in order to follow this tutorial. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is set up our LiveKit account. So LiveKit is an open source AI voice agent tool that you can use in order to create your voice agents in Python, and it's very powerful and sophisticated. Even big companies like OpenAI use this. And you can simply Google LiveKit and then click on the first link and it will end up at this website over here. And then over here, you can click on Start Building. And here's where you would need to create an account. Once you created your account, you can then go ahead and click down here on a Create New Project. You can create a project, give it a name, and then you can select it. I already did that, so I selected Avatar. And over here, you can then click on Settings and then click on API Key. And here's where you would then need to create an API key. Over here, you have a button to create an API key. You give it some name like Avatar as well. And let me zoom in for you, Avatar, and then you can click on Create API Key. And then you will end up with these informations or credentials that you would then need before you create your AI agent in Python. You can simply copy everything here by clicking this button over here, and then you can close this. If you want to have a more detailed explanation how LiveKit works, I already did that in my previous video. I'm going to link it over here in the info card. In that one, I explain the more intricate parts of LiveKit and why you actually need all of these credentials. So at any point, if you get stuck or you feel like this is a little bit too fast or you don't understand something, I would recommend you to just watch this previous video. So now we can start with the Python implementation of our AI agent. For this, I'm using VS Code as my IDE of choice. You can also use any other IDE, but if you're using VS Code, I would recommend you to install something called Copilot. You can find it over here and then you can type in Copilot. You probably already know what this is. This is an AI assistant that helps you develop faster. You can install it over here. Once you installed that, you would need to then create a new folder and then you need to open it. I already created my folder, so I'm simply going to open it right here. So now we have our folder open, and then over here we can create new files. We can type in agent.py, and the next one is going to be tools.py, and then the next one is going to be prompts.py, and then the next one is going to be server.py. And we would also need a .env file and also a requirements file. Oh, sorry, this is a txt file. Okay. So now we need to create or open a new terminal. For this, we can press Ctrl+Shift+P and then we click on Create New Terminal. I'm going to use PowerShell. Down here, we have now a terminal open, and then we would need to create a virtual environment. For this, you can type in this command here, python-m venv. And over here now we have this virtual environment. Then we would need to activate that with this command here. Now it's activated. And then we would need to go ahead and go to our requirements file, and then we would need to paste in some requirements that we need. I'm gonna simply paste it in here so you don't have to watch me type. And then we can save this by pressing Ctrl+S. And down here now I have to install that, so I can press, or I can type in pip install -r requirements. You can actually just type in R and then press the tab button to auto-complete that. And press enter. Gonna install now, so I'm gonna skip forward until everything's done. So now everything's installed. The next step is to go to the .dnv file, and then we can paste in the 3 things that we copied from the LiveKit website, which is the LiveKit URL, the LiveKit API, and the LiveKit API secret. And then we would also need to get a OpenAI API key. For this, we can go to the browser and then we can simply Google OpenAI API key. Then we click on the first link. And here's where you would also need to create a OpenAI account if you don't have one already. And then you can click on this button over here to create an API key. You can give it some name. Let's just call this avatar as well. And then you can just click on create key. And then you can copy this. And I would recommend you to save this somewhere safe so you can access it later again, because once you close this window, you cannot look at this API key again. So again, save this somewhere safe. You can copy this and then click on done. And then we can go back to VS Code. And then we can also paste this here. And here we have to say OpenAI API key. And then we have to save that. And then we have to go to the browser once more. And then we have to now Google LiveKit voice agent to get some sample code from the website. Here we can click on voice AI quick start, and down here is some sample code that we can simply copy by clicking this button. We can go back to VS Code. Then we go to agent.py, and here's where we would paste in all of this code, and then we can simply save this by pressing Ctrl S again. Down here I would recommend you to write speak in English only, because sometimes randomly this starts speaking in a different language, and then we can press Ctrl S again. And then here we can type in Python agent.py and then console to run this locally.
Hello there. How can I help you today?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
You can exit this by pressing Ctrl C. And now you can see we have our working voice agent. So now we can customize our AI agent so it behaves more so like a hotel receptionist. But first I want to change the voice because I like a different voice better. So I'm going to change this to Shimmer. I'm going to save this. Then I'm going to go to prompts.py, and here's where I'm going to paste some prompts that are already prepared prior to this. So I have 2 prompts here. One is the agent instruction and the other one is the session instruction. So the agent instruction is how the agent should operate, and the session instruction is how the agent should operate in a specific session. And here's just a description of what the agent should be. In this case, it's a receptionist for a fictional hotel called the Grand Lux Hotel. Here's the context of where the agent operates in, which is a virtual avatar on a website. Here's the task which the agent should perform, in which it just provides some assistance to the user and also helps booking rooms for, or look for available rooms for the hotel. And here's just some general specifics like speak professionally or use a friendly and welcoming tone. Just general things about what you would expect from a receptionist at a hotel. Here's some session instructions. So first of all, here we have a welcoming message. So this is what the agent should always say when you start a conversation. And here's some information about the hotel generally. So some information about the rooms, some information about the amenities and dining options, location, all of that stuff, check-in and check-out time, just some general information about the hotel. So the AI agent can answer some general questions which the user might have. A better way to do this actually is to use a RAG system with a knowledge base, but just for simplicity's sake I put it in here. That works too. If this gets any longer, then it's just better to use a knowledge base. Okay, so now we can save this, Ctrl S, then we can go back in here And what we need to do is we need to import these instructions. We can say from prompts import agent instruction and session instruction. And here we can now replace this. This is the agent instruction. And down here we have the session instruction. All right. Then we can save this by pressing Ctrl S again. Now we can try this out again.
Welcome at the Grand Lux Hotel. How may I assist you?
When are your check-in and check-out times?
Our standard check-in time is 3 p.m. and check-out is by 11 a.m. If you need any flexibility with those times, just let us know and we'll do our best to accommodate you.
So now that's working. Okay, now I want our AI agent to be able to use N8N tools or connect to N8N. For this, I'm going to use something called MCP. Most of you probably are already familiar with that, but if you don't know what that is, it's basically a unified protocol to expose tools to AI agents. That might sound very complicated, but hopefully it's going to make more sense in a bit. And for this, we can simply go to the browser again, and we can, wait a minute, let me close this. We can simply Google MCP LiveKit, and then we can click on the first link. And here we have a Git repository with an MCP server or MCP client already implemented, and we can actually use this example in our code as well. And we can download this code by clicking on the code button, and then we can click on download zip. That will download a zip file for us, and then we can open that in our download folder. And here we can then unzip this. Let me do this real quick. Now we have this folder here, and here we want to access this MCP client folder. We can simply copy this. We can go back to VS Code, and then we can click in here, and then we can simply paste this. And then we're gonna click paste, and now we have this folder over here. The next thing we need to do is import some classes from these folders. So that would be these classes here. And we also would need to import something called OS. Then we need to go down here, and after the point where it says session, we can also paste something here. I already prepared this, but I'm gonna explain this in a bit. So what we're doing here is we connect to an N8N MCP server through this MCP server class here, and we are giving it a URL so it can find the MCP server. And through this MCP server, we will be able to access certain tools that that server has, and we are enriching our agent with these tools through this method over here of this class. And here we are passing our assistant class, which is defined over here, and where we gave it the personalized instruction to act as a receptionist. And then here is a agent created with these tools, and then we also need to pass this agent here to our LiveKit session, and then we need to save this. Now we can create our N8N server. For this, we can go to N8N. If you don't have an account yet, you would need to create one, and once you did that and signed in, you will then have access to this dashboard over here, and then you can create a new workflow by clicking this button over here. And then you can click on this button over here, and then here you would look for MCP. You can click on this one over here. For now, we can close this, and then we would need to add some new tools which we're going to use. You can click on this button, and then we can look for Google Calendar tool. This is a tool that we're going to use to create a new event in our Google Calendar, which we are going to use to book a room for our hotel. And now you would need to connect this to a Google account. You can click here and then click on create new credential, and then you would sign into your Google account, and then you can select from one of your Google accounts. And then here you would need to enable these things here, and then you would need to click on next. Now your Google account is connected, and then you can simply close this, and then you can close this as well. And then you can select from the calendar in which you want to have the bookings for your rooms. I'm going to simply use this one here. And here's the start of the event that you're going to create. You can simply click on this button for the AI to choose it automatically.
Here's the end time of, or end time and date of your event. You can click here as well. And then I would need to add some fields. I'm gonna use a description. I'm gonna click here again. Then I'm also gonna add some summary. I'm gonna click here again. And then I'm also gonna add some color ID. And then I'm gonna select from a random color. Normally, if you create an event, it's gonna be highlighted with the standard color of blue. So in order for us to have it highlighted in a different color, we're going to simply choose a different color so we can actually distinguish between other events. Okay, that's it actually. So now we can actually close this. The next tool we're gonna add is actually checking the events within our calendar. So you're going to also type in Google Calendar tool. So this tool is going to be used in order to check the availabilities of our rooms. For this, we're going to not use the operation create, but we're going to take the operation get many. Okay, and here we're going to select the same account. And here is where we start to check, and then here's where we would end to check. So let's say I check from today until a week from now. So the start date from checking would be today, and the end date would be 1 week after today. And within this range, it will get all of the events, so it will be able to check the availabilities within this time. Okay, so we're going to click here again. So the AI agent would automatically choose these parameters itself. And then we can close this already. And then the next thing we would want to add is a tool to be able to send booking confirmations to our guests, which is going to be a Gmail tool where we're going to send an email with the confirmation in it. And same thing here, we are going to automatically let the AI choose the receiver, also the subject, and also the message. Okay, that's already it. We can now save this over here. We can set this to active, and then we're going to need to get the URL of our MCP server, and then we can get here or click here on production URL. We can copy this, and then we can go back to our agent implementation. We can go to our .env file. Here we would need to type in N8N. N8N MCP Server URL. And then we would need to paste it here. Then we would need to save that. We'd go back to our agent.py. And then here we can now go ahead and just simply try this out.
Welcome at the Grand Lux Hotel. How may I assist you?
Okay, now you can see actually here, it was able to actually connect to our MCP server, and also it's listing all of these tools that we just created. So now we are ready to actually give it more instructions in order to be able to book a hotel room. So now we have to modify our prompts.py file in order for our AI agent to book a room correctly. And we also have to modify the agent instructions here. I already prepared this actually. And don't worry, I will provide all of this code in the video description down below, so you don't have to type this yourself. But what I essentially did was I gave this very specific instructions how to operate when the user wants to book a hotel room. So it will ask for specific questions about the hotel room, like check-in date, check-out date, and stuff like that. And also the room type. So in my specific example here, I only have 3 rooms available at any time, which is the executive suite, the deluxe room, and presidential suite. And let's say the user wants to book an executive suite, the AI agent will then go ahead and use the get many events in Google Calendar tool, which we just created, to check if this room is available. If not, it will tell the user that it's not available and will recommend these 2 rooms. Let's say it is available, then it will go ahead and use this tool to create an event in the Google Calendar, and then use their name and email address to insert that into the fields that we declared within this tool. And then finally, we'll send a confirmation email to the user as well. Okay. The next thing we need to add here is actually something so the AI agent knows the time zones. Wait a minute, I also have to, or not time zones, but the current date and time. And that will be actually dependent on the time zone. So here I'm in Vienna, so that's why I'm using this Vienna time here. I'm using this time zone, and then I format that time to the correct format so I can use it for the tool. And then down here, actually, I also tell it that it should use a certain format to create an event with this tool here. So it has to be in this specific format. In my case, let's say you live in the US or something like that, you would need to use a different time zone. But in my case, it's Vienna, so that's why I added it like this. And also I would probably also need to add this here. Wait a second, like this. So here wait a minute. Here I declared this formatted time, and then I gave it to the session instruction like this. So the agent has access to the current time. Okay, so now if we save this, we can try this out again. Hopefully this works. So actually that didn't work. I got an error here because I forgot to install something, which is TZ data, in order to get the correct time zone. So we can simply write this and then we can press enter to install this. Okay, so hopefully now it's gonna work.
Welcome at the Grand Lux Hotel. How may I assist you?
Hi, I would like to book the executive suite from today until the 22nd of July for 2 people, please.
Could you please provide your name?
Dwayne Johnson.
Thank you. Dwayne, could you also share your email address for the booking confirmation?
I would have to spell that. It's THAHNY.NGUYEN@gmail.com.
Got it. Thank you. Let me check the availability of the executive suite for your requested dates. One moment, please. It looks like the executive suite is already booked for those dates. Would you like me to check availability for another room type or adjust the dates?
Yeah, let's book the room for the 22nd of July until the 24th, please.
All right. Let me quickly check the availability for the executive suite from July 22nd to July 24th. One moment, please. The executive suite is available for those dates. Let me book the room for you now. The room has been booked for you. Now I'll send a confirmation email with the booking details. The confirmation email has been sent to you. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
That's it. Thank you. Bye. Okay, so that worked now. So now we can look this up. So the reason why it said before that the room was actually taken is if we look at my calendar here, from the 20th to the 22nd, it was actually booked. And therefore it says that it's already taken. And now I booked it from the 22nd to the 24th, and that works now. And if you look now at this new event here, we can see it says Executive Suite, as well as the name of the guest, here Dwayne Johnson with 2 guests. Okay, and also if I look at my Gmail, here I got this confirmation mail with all of the information that we gave to the agent, this Dwayne Johnson, and also the executive suite, and also the check-in time, all of that stuff. So that worked as well. Another thing that I forgot to mention was that you actually also have to add your Google account here, like with the calendar tool, but it's actually just the same. So you can just add your Google account here and then it should work. Of course, this whole thing here is a very simplistic example. Normally, if you have any sort of bookings, you also want to save that in a database. You can add any sort of tool again here if you want to. So for example, you can also add Airtable, but this whole thing here was just a simplistic example to show you how it works. So now we want to give our AI assistant the AI avatar, and for this I'm going to use something called Tavus. For this you can simply Google Tavus, and then you click on the first link. And this is a very sophisticated tool to add these avatars to your application, and you would normally also need to create an account. Once you did that, you can then log in. And once you logged in, you have access to this dashboard now, and then you would need to create a persona. You can do that over here. And then you can select from which kind of persona you want to create here. So I'm going to select the one that is down here, which is Steph. I'm going to click on select. And here's where we need to insert some information. Here we can give the a persona to our replica, and we can also give it a system prompt. It doesn't actually matter what we write in here because we're gonna overwrite this anyway, so we can simply type in personal assistant, and then we can click over here on create persona. And over here we have now two things. One is the persona ID and the other thing is the replica ID. We would need to copy both of these. And then we would need to go ahead and create an API key over here. And then we would need to click on create API key. We can name this avatar, doesn't really matter. And then we can click on create API key, and then we can copy this as well. And then we can go back to our implementation, and then we can go into the .env file again. We can add these two IDs, or these three IDs actually. The first thing was the persona ID. That's persona ID. I think it was this one. And then the next one is the replica ID. That's gonna be this one, and then we need the Tavus API key. Okay, so we're gonna save that again. I misspelled this actually, it should be persona, not persona. And then we can go back to the agent.py, and now we have to add some new code in order to connect to our AI avatar, which is gonna be this. I already prepared this. But I also need to import something here before I can use this, which is going to be from LiveKit.plugins Tavus. Okay. Now we can try this out by trying out the playground that comes from LiveKit. And for this, we need to run this with this command here, python.agent.py with def. Now we can go to the browser, and then we can Google LiveKit playground. Then we can click on the first link, and here you can now select the project that you created in the beginning. I'm going to use a different one. I'm going to select tutorial, and here now it's going to connect to your AI agent.
Welcome at the Grand Lux Hotel. How may I assist you?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How can I help you today?
Okay, so as you can see now this works. If we have a quick look at the code again to add Tavus to our implementation, it's actually really nice because it's really short. So all we need to do is just simply specify the IDs that we copied into the .env file in order to connect to it, and then we need to add the AI avatar to our LiveKit session, and then it works actually. Keep in mind, Tavus is a really expensive tool, so this probably only makes sense if you're a business owner or you can make actual money from this. Okay, so let's say you want to add your AI avatar to your website now. I actually created this whole website just for this video, and for this I also added some button over here that doesn't do anything. So if you want to add your AI avatar as well, you would also need a button to activate it. So as you can see, if I click on this, it doesn't do anything currently. So let me go into the code and show you what this website is about. So if I go back into our Python implementation, I did some work here where I put actually all of our AI agent stuff into a backend folder over here. I just copied it in here, and I also added this website here. You don't have to do this. You can also have it separated. I just added it like this so we can have it on one screen. So in here I have my website, and it's created in React. Most modern websites are also created in React. So if you have a website as well, or if you're a client with a website, most likely they also use React. And you would actually have to use React in order to add it to your website, because the components from LiveKit that comes out right out of the box, which you can use, are also used in React as well. And here's my website again, and here's my homepage. And as you can see here, this is the whole code that I have. Don't worry, you don't have to understand all of this code. But down here I have this empty button that doesn't do anything currently. So as you can see here, it says talk to AI concierge. And all it actually does, it just sets a flag. If I click on it, that it sets to true, which indicates that it should show something, which would be this window that you saw in the beginning of the video in the intro with the AI agent in it. All it does is sets this flag. Again, you would also need to add a button as well, and then it would need to set some flag. And the windows that you saw is actually something that you need to code. But don't worry, I also coded it already as well. So let me just quickly add these files that I prepared here to this website. So here, normally you also have a components folder, so you can actually add it wherever you want, but I'm gonna add it here in my AI avatar folder. I'm gonna paste these files. Then I would have to add it to this website. So I would have to import it, which is over here. So I have to add this widget file here. So if you add these files as well to your website, you would also have to go to the folder where you added it, and then you have to specify which file you want to add. In this case, it's just a widget file here. And then we can go back down again to our button. And now we can actually add this widget here, like this. So what happens now is if I click the button, this flag is going to set to true, and then it's going to show this widget that I just added. Okay, so if I save this, quick note, I forgot to mention that you have to run this command in order to install the LiveKit components in your React project. So just run this command and you should be fine. And I go back to our website again. And now I click on this. You will see here it opens a modal, but it doesn't do anything currently. Okay, let's just refresh this. So let me go into the code again so I can show you what these files are actually all about that I just added, so you can copy it to your website as well. So if I go back into this components file over here, I actually added 4 files again, and there are 2 components here. One is the LiveKit widget. This is just a window that's going to pop up once you click on this button. And then here is the AI avatar assistant connection, actually, where we render our AI assistant. So if we go here into this LiveKit widget, the most important thing here is that it's gonna connect to our AI agent that we're gonna run, similarly how it was in the Playground app from LiveKit itself. And shout out to Tech with Tim, from whom I was able to reuse most of this code. But the most important thing is that if you want to connect externally to your AI agent, what you always need is this token over here. So in LiveKit, if you start a session or a conversation with an agent, you always create this LiveKit room in which you would connect to. This is, you can think of this as if you have a meeting, like a Teams meeting or a Google Meet meeting, you would come in as a participant into this meeting room. So it's similar like that, because you can have multiple participants as well. And in order to actually access this room, you would have to generate a token in order to get into this room, which is a security token basically. So currently it doesn't work because we don't have a token yet and we would need to generate one. So in order to create these tokens automatically, what we would need to do is create a server that does that for us. So if you remember in the beginning, we created the server.py file here. So here's where I can reuse some code that I also got from the internet. You can also reuse this code. Again, all of the code from this tutorial is available in the video description down below, so you don't have to type anything. You can simply reuse it as well. And what this is a Flask server. So what it does is if you run this code, a server will run and will expose this get token endpoint here. And if you call upon this endpoint, it will use the LiveKit API key and the LiveKit API secret to connect to our LiveKit account, and then will automatically create an access token so you can use those tokens or that token to connect to our AI agent. All right, before I can actually run this, I would have to install Flask, but I have to recreate my virtual environment because I moved this folder. So I have to actually delete this and create a new virtual environment. Let me quickly do this. So I have to go into this backend folder. And then I have to create a virtual environment. And then I have to activate it. And then I have to add in the requirements folder these new things here. So I can install Flask. And then I have to say, actually pip install -r requirements. So now everything's reinstalled. I had to do this because I moved all of the files into this backend folder. If you do that, then the virtual environment gets confused if you try to install additional libraries because the path changed. So you would get an error if you try that. So if you run into a similar problem where you moved the files into a folder, all you need to do is just the same as I did. Just delete this folder, the virtual environment, and then you can recreate it, and then you can install everything again. Yeah, I had to add these things so I can use the server. Okay, so now we have to tell our website where to find the server, and you do this in a config file. Normally you will always have this config file in a React project. And over here is where you would have the section called server, and you would need to add something called a proxy. It would need to look something like this. So what this means is every time you would call upon this endpoint here, it would route it to this target, which is our server. I can save this change. If we look into this widget again, over here is where I get the token. And here I call upon API key and then get token. And if you remember correctly, here we have this endpoint called get token. It will route this to the server and then connect to this endpoint, and then we get our token. Okay, so now we have to start the server. So I can type in Python server, and this should now work. Right, so the server is up and running. And then I also have to start our agent again. So if you have multiple terminals open, you can select it from here. So I have this other terminal open where I have to start our agent. So again, python agent.py.def. Now it's gonna start. My internet is currently very slow, so I hope it's not gonna lag. So if we go back into our website and try to connect to our AI avatar again,
Welcome at the Grand Lux Hotel. How may I assist you?
hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How can I help you today?
Great, so now this is working. So to summarize this, I know this was quite a lot and complicated, but if we're dealing with any sort of custom implementation, it will always be complicated. So I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. So if you remember in the beginning, the first step was to add these 4 files, and then you would go ahead to the page in which you want to show your agent and add a button of some sort. And within that button, you would have to copy or paste this code so you can enable the widget. And the next thing we need to do is add in the config file this proxy so it knows where to find the server to generate the token. What you then need to do is you would need to run the server. You would also need to run your agent, of course, and then you can connect to your AI agent from your website. So the last thing I want to add to our AI avatar is the ability to navigate this website for us. So if we look closer here, I have multiple sections as well as multiple pages. So here, if we click at this fitness center page, for example, I have more information about the gym that the hotel provides. Or here I have the spa and wellness section where I can see all of the offerings that the hotel has. Or here actually I have a section where I can book a room from a calendar. So let's say I talk to the AI avatar and I ask for certain information, for example, the fitness center. I want it to automatically open me the respective page and show me the respective information. So in order to do that, we can go back into our implementation and go to this tools.py file. In the beginning, we created this file. So this is where we can create some custom tools. I'm going to paste in some libraries that I'm going to use. And then I need to create an asynchronous function. I'm going to call it open_URL. And the important thing here is to pass this run context. And then we need to give this a description. So we can write string here. I don't need these actually. This is a description about the function itself, what it does. So the AI agent knows when to use this. This is actually already somewhat correct, but I also want to give this a try catch section, so I can actually catch the case in which this didn't work. So I can write try, I can write exception, and then return this. So actually, if this fails, then I get this return message to my AI agent, so it knows what to do with it. And here, lastly, I have to give this an annotation, so the AI agent knows that this is a tool that it can use. Okay, so this is already it. And what it does here is that you pass a URL to a web page, and then it simply opens that in this web browser class, and that's it actually. Okay, so now we have to give this to our AI agent. So we can write from tools, import open URL. Then we have to give this to our AI agent here. So we can write tools, open URL. We can save this. Then we also have to adjust our agent instruction here. I actually prepared this already, so I'm gonna give this a description about this new tool here, so when to use this or how to use this correctly. So in case of me asking for the fitness center, we'll open this URL. If it wants to know more about the wellness section, it will open this and this for the booking page. And also something that I added was a booking confirmation page. So I can show you how this works. So I can open this here. And when you book a room, in most cases, you get this kind of confirmation where all of your information about your specific booking is listed. The way this works is if we look at this link again, you can pass here some parameters, for example, the name of the guest, the email address, and the room type, all of that, the price and all of that. And this is displayed here in these respective fields. This is a very standard way to display parameters to a custom web page. And here I gave it a description how to use or how to fill these parameters. For example, the name is simply the name of the guest, the email address, the email address of the guest as well, the room and the number of nights, all of that stuff. Okay, so now this should actually work. I can restart our AI agent. And then I can just simply try this out.
Welcome at the Grand Lux Hotel. How may I assist you?
Can you give me more information about your fitness center by opening the page for me?
I've opened the page with details about our fitness center for you. Let me know if there's anything specific you'd like to know.
Can you also open me the booking page?
I've opened the booking page for you as well. Let me know if you'd like any assistance with booking a room.
Great, so now this works as well. Now we're finally done, and now we can actually test our final product.
Welcome at the Grand Lux Hotel. How may I assist you?
Hi, I would like to book a hotel room.
Of course, I'd be happy to help you with that. Could you please let me know your check-in date? The check-in time is always 3 p.m.
How about the 25th of July, and I would like to stay until the 1st of August.
Thank you for that information. How many guests will be staying in the room?
2 people, and I also would like to reserve the presidential suite. And my name is Ryan Johnson.
Thank you. Ryan, let me check the availability of the presidential suite for you. One moment, please. The presidential suite is available for your dates. Could I please have your email address to finalize the booking?
Yeah, I have to spell that. It's THANHY.DAVID.NGUYEN@gmail.com.
Got it. Thank you. Let me book the room for you now. Your booking is confirmed, and I've also sent a confirmation email to you. You can review all the details on the page I just opened. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
No, that's actually it. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful stay at the Grand Lux. Goodbye.
Okay, as we can see it here now, we have all of the booking information. So here's the name, here's my email address, here are the nights I'm gonna stay, here's the price, pretty pricey actually, 18,000 euros, okay. The check-in date, the checkout date, all of that stuff. And if we look here at my calendar, here I have now the presidential suite. Again, here Ryan Johnson, 2 guests. Here's also the dates. And also I got this booking confirmation now. So here is all of our information that we just provided to the agent, and now everything works. Hallelujah. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, all of the code is available in the video description down below, even the website, so you can simply download it, install everything and try it out yourself. And if you don't want to use Tavus because it's too expensive, you can simply disable that part and simply use the voice part. That works as well. And if you need any professional development help, or you're a business owner and you want something similar developed for you, you can get in touch with me through the contact information down below. And thank you again if you watched all the way to the end. On that note, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.